Classic semolina halva. I think this must be one of the most famous of all Indian desserts. I know in our restaurant in Melbourne, people come from miles around to enjoy halva, and if it doesn't happen to be on the menu that day, they're very disappointed. Halva is actually a general term to mean any sort of grain or fruit which is cooked down with sugar. So this particular recipe for halva calls for semolina. Semolina is a natural wheat product, and it forms the basis of this dish. Here we've got 1 cup of semolina. Along with that, we're going to use 1/2 of a cup of butter, 2 tablespoons of raisins, a teaspoon of grated orange rind, 2 tablespoons of fresh grated coconut, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. We're also going to put in some walnuts, that's 1/4 cup, 1 cup of sugar, and 2 cups of water. So how to make orange raisin and walnut halva? Well, I'll show you. Over here we've got 2 pots. One of our pots we're going to add our water. Along with our water we've got our sugar. Let's turn the flame on there. Along with the water and sugar, we're going to add our raisins, nutmeg, coconut, and orange. Give it a bit of a stir. Now, we have to bring our syrup to the boil. Meanwhile, in the other pot, let's put our butter. So this is the same formula as for making your sautéed rice. If you recall, for every 1 cup of rice, you use 2 cups of water. So similarly, for every 1 cup of semolina, we're using 2 cups of water. So with our 2 cups of water there, we've got our 1 cup of semolina here. Now our semolina is now going to be added to our melted butter. Into our melted butter goes our semolina. So when you add the semolina, you'll notice that it soaks up all the butter. After some time, you'll notice that the semolina grains will start to go darker in colour. They'll give off a very nutty aroma. They'll shrink a little bit and they'll give off some of the butter that they've initially soaked up. Now when your water comes to the boil, turn it right down to a simmer and put a lid on it. We don't want any of that to evaporate, otherwise the halva will not turn out so well. Now, as you toast your semolina, you should make sure that you don't leave any patches unstirred in order that the grains are roasted evenly. It's practically unlimited what you can use in halva as far as the semolina variety is concerned. Any variety of nuts or fresh fruits, dried fruits, sweet spices can go in halva. It's practically unlimited. It's a beautiful dish for a cold winter's morning or a cold winter's night. When you serve halva, you'll notice that people they'll go wild over it. Notice now how our halva is half cooked. When you stop stirring for a moment, the butter starts to bubble out, see? As I was explaining, our grains shrink a little bit as the roasting process goes on. Notice also how the semolina now is a slightly darker colour. It's changing its shade to a tan colour. Now at this stage you could add your liquid and you'd have a light golden coloured halva. I'm going to roast my grains a little darker to make a darker halva, and a darker halva has a more roasted flavour also, which I find very nice. Let's have a check on our liquid here. It's simmering away. The lid stops it evaporating, so we have the correct amounts. Now, I think this is practically done. So I'm going to now add my walnuts and roast them for a few seconds in our halva. And I'm going to toast them in with the semolina just for about a minute. Now at this critical stage we've got to do 2 things. We've got to turn our flame to low on the grains, and we have to turn our gas full underneath our liquid. Bring your liquid to the boil like so, and now we're ready to add our liquid to our grains. And add the liquid to the grains. One go. Now this is a very critical stage also. Keep stirring that semolina and water mixture, which is now very quickly turning into our finished product, the halva. At first, it will have this soupy consistency, and it will start to spit, by the way, so step back in order that you don't burn yourself. Stir very rapidly, keeping it moving all the time. And you'll notice that the halva will start to thicken up, and it reaches a certain stage where it leaves the side of the pan. And it's fast approaching that stage now. You'll find that it becomes stiffer and harder to stir. See that, how it's coming away from the pan? One lump. This is a few seconds away from being done. There it is, it's coming away from the side of the pan now. So that's done. Turn off the flame. Put a lid on there and let it steam for about 2 or 3 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes now, and our halva should be nicely steamed. Yes, there it is, hot golden halva. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to give this away. Halva can be served on its own. You can serve it with hot custard. You can serve it with whipped cream. You can serve it cold. Whichever way you serve halva, there's always a great demand. Whichever way you serve halva, it always gets eaten very, very quickly.